Let's be real for a second, Marvel nailed the character roster right out of launch. And this is a Marvel game, so there are endless possibilities for heroes and villains to join the game, which is why in this video, I'll be breaking down the 15 characters we need to see in Marvel Rivals. You know, honestly, by the time this video comes out, there might be leaks and there might be characters that already came out, so I am sorry in advance. I'm gonna break this video down by vanguards, duelists, then specialists. I gotta bring out this stack of papers because not only did I create a wish list, but I also created special moves for each one of these characters. And I can't memorize them all, so please bear with me. And I think the first one for Vanguard is a no-brainer, and that's Juggernaut. This guy screams Vanguard. If there's any tank you want on your team, it's gonna be Juggernaut. I am just waiting to see all of these Vanguards battle it out, seeing Hulk, Juggernaut, Venom. It's gonna be wild. And I am praying that his ultimate line is from Last Stand where he says, "I'm the Juggernaut, bitch!" I'm going to dive into Juggernaut's abilities as well, but I'm also going to tie in the next Vanguard, and that's Colossus. I think Juggernaut and Colossus kind of go hand in hand in terms of their special moves. We'll see them punching through enemies, maybe creating shockwaves that send it back, sort of like Ramatra in Overwatch 2. And maybe for Colossus, it can be sort of like how Jax is in Mortal Kombat. The only reason why I'm making this Mortal Kombat reference is because my main channel is dedicated to Mortal Kombat. So if you played Mortal Kombat 11, you would see Jax's arms actually charge up the more he punches enemies. So maybe that can be what Colossus does in Marvel Rivals. This next Vanguard I am praying makes it to Marvel Rivals, and that is Dr. Octopus. Such an iconic character. Alfred Molina made this character come to life. I can see him using his ultimate and saying, "The power of the sun in the palm of my hand." I would love to see Dr. Octopus gameplay. I'm assuming it would be similar to how Venom attacks with his symbiote attacking the enemies, but instead we'd see the mechanical tentacles attacking the opponent, and seeing him climbing up the walls using his tentacles to create barriers. I think this would go hand in hand with a Vanguard. Next Vanguard on the list is Captain Marvel. I think Captain Marvel is a perfect way to introduce another female character as a Vanguard. She can use her binary form, use her photon blast, and could be the first Vanguard that is constantly in the air. This next one is pretty easy, and that's Thanos. But I'm going to do a little twist here because I also think Thanos, hear me out now, could be a specialist as well. But obviously, I think the most sense is him at Vanguard. I could see Thanos being a Vanguard running around with the Infinity Gauntlet, using the different reality stones to alter the battlefield and do damage or healing other players. And that's why I kind of thought of him as a strategist as well, because he can use the Infinity Stones to heal players while also doing damage. And of course, the ultimate has to be the snap with the Infinity Gauntlet. I don't know how they're going to work this out, but I think a cool way would be for them to snap and either half the team is eliminated, including your own, or when he snaps, half of your ultimate meter is cut down. I think this would be a really cool way to introduce Thanos into Marvel Rivals, either as a Vanguard or a strategist. Now we're transitioning into duelists, but this first character I think can also be a Vanguard, and that's Ghost Rider. I grew up watching the Ghost Rider movies with Nicolas Cage, so I think Johnny Blaze would be the perfect fit for this game. Whether that's using his chains as the primary attack, or his penance stare as his ultimate, or even his motorcycle to move around on the map, this is a perfect way to introduce Ghost Rider into Marvel Rivals. Now we're heading into the first duelist, and this is the first person that came to mind, and that's Green Goblin. Please, Marvel, please bring Green Goblin into Marvel Rivals. It's going to be wild to see the art style, even some of the costume designs, the gameplay of Green Goblin, seeing him throw his pumpkin bombs, gliding around, and even for his ultimate, maybe he can just chuck all of his pumpkin grenades. It scatters out on the battlefield, creates a little circle, and just drops down, kind of like Moon Knight's ult, but it just explodes and it creates maybe this ricochet effect. That would be insane. Second duelist that comes to mind is Mysterio, and I am so shocked. I haven't seen really anybody talk about Mysterio in this game, and I think there is a lot of potential to bring him into the game. Whether that's a duelist, whether that's a strategist, I would love to see him more as a duelist, creating these illusions on the battlefield, maybe sending hallucinations to the enemy team. I think there's a lot of different ways that Mysterio can be implemented with his gameplay into Marvel Rivals. This next character is pretty easy, and that's Cyclops. I think a lot of people are begging for Cyclops to be in this game. I don't think Cyclops has really gotten a lot of love over the past couple of years, and I think that's mainly due to the live-action X-Men movies. Even the reboot franchise didn't really do him justice. But then we got X-Men 97, the animated series, and I think that there's going to be a slow transition. People are going to move away from Wolverine a little bit, and we're going to see a lot more people liking Cyclops and Gambit and all the other X-Men characters that haven't gotten that love yet. And there's so much possibility for his gameplay too. With his laser beams, he can do ricochet, optic beams, and please, I have to hear this ultimate voice line. He has to drop down, take off his visor, and it's just full power blast as he screams,
"To me, my X-Men."
Next up is Nightcrawler, and I would love to see the type of gameplay he's going to have. I'm assuming he would be more of a dive character since he has the teleport ability. Seeing him go in, dive, attack a certain specialist, teleport, attack somebody else, just kind of see him teleporting all around, that would be really cool. And maybe for his ultimate ability or for some special moves, he can grab a certain teammate or even the enemy team and teleport them wherever he wants. Next one is pretty easy. That is Deadpool. I'm actually surprised he's not in the game yet, and it's taken them this long to put him in the game. This one's super easy. He can use his guns, his swords. I think a lot of the names would be pretty funny that he calls other characters. Even his ability names might be like Chimichanga or Fourth Wall Breaking. And he can do a lot of that in the game as well. Just kind of shit talking other characters as he's killing them and running around. Another character I haven't seen too much, and that's Gambit. One of those characters like I was talking earlier with Cyclops, where he hasn't gotten a lot of love until we have that Deadpool movie. And I think we're going to see that slow transition into people loving these characters again. And just imagine the gameplay of Gambit throwing his cards. They're purple, it's curving, maybe creating explosive area damage, kind of like Moon Knight. If it hits you, it ricochets off of certain people. There is a lot of potential for Gambit's gameplay. We have finally made it to the strategist. If you haven't yet, please subscribe and let me know in the comments what characters you want to see in Marvel Rivals. I would love to see Emma Frost be in this game. I'm a little bit iffy about her abilities and powers because it would be similar to Professor X in some sort of ways. But of course, they can make things subtly different, but I don't want too many characters that are similar in the game. I think the one thing that would make her stand out is her diamond form and being able to give that diamond form to other characters as a team-up ability or maybe as one of her special moves. And obviously the next character is Professor X, and when I think of Patrick Stewart, I think of Professor X. When I think of Professor X, I think of Patrick Stewart. And sometimes when I think of Patrick Stewart, I think of Star Trek. With Professor X, I think he fits the strategist role perfectly. It's going to be really awesome to see him in his yellow chair, floating around, maybe attacking enemies with his mind, giving speed boosts to other characters while also healing them as well. And his ultimate ability being Cerebro. He taps into Cerebro and then he reveals everybody's location. I think that would be a perfect way to use his ultimate ability. And finally, we made it to the last spot, and that is Silver Surfer. He would be one of the very first specialists if they do it this way, where he's constantly floating and he's in the air flying around like Iron Man or maybe Captain Marvel. So with Captain Marvel for a Vanguard position, she could be the first character that's flying around for Vanguards. For Specialist, it would be Silver Surfer on his board. And that would be really interesting for a strategist role to see him flying around, maybe doing cosmic beams, maybe sending shields that slow enemies down while also being in the air, sending heals down to his teammates. There is a lot of possibilities for Silver Surfer's gameplay. So these are the 15 characters I think we need in Marvel Rivals. And I want to hear in the comment section below, which character is your favorite? Did I miss somebody? And if you're as hyped as I am for Marvel Rivals, make sure to hit that subscribe button.